Hello, my dears. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back with Chronic Wellness. Thanks for being here with me. I am recording this near the end of May, and I would be remiss if I did not talk about the fact that May is Myositis Awareness Month. And you're like, what's myositis? Well, let me tell you. There are several varieties of myositis, and I have what's called polymyositis. And polymyositis, to the layperson, might be called muscle wasting disease. And it is an autoimmune disease that sends little blastocysts into the smooth muscle tissue of my cells. So that means the muscles that are connected to bones primarily, and goes into those muscles and bursts the fibers of the muscles, and they just dissolve right off of you. It's a pretty harrowing, terrible, incurable, rare disease that when I was first diagnosed, it must have been close to 8 or 9 years ago now. And at the point that it occurred in my life, my wife said that she could watch me lose weight, that the muscles were dissolving at such an alarming speed that she could just see me losing weight from one day to the next. And in my case, that meant that I lost 40 pounds of muscle weight in 6 weeks. It was really fast and incredibly terrifying. The first muscles that go are generally large muscle groups. So for me, it was my quads, my biceps, my deltoids, my upper back. I first noticed that when I was in the shower, I was having difficulty raising my arms above my head to wash my hair. And by the time it had its way with me in its first go, because it's something that sticks with you, I lost the ability to stand from a seated position, to walk without assistance, to even be able to roll over in bed without somebody physically rolling me over. And each of those skills had to be relearned because smooth muscle tissue, what remains can be built back up, but what has been dissolved or wasted cannot be rebuilt. And that's part of what's so completely debilitating about the myositis. And the main categories of myositis are polymyositis, dermatomyositis, inclusion body myositis, and sporadic inclusion myositis. I think I've got that last one right. There's also juvenile onset of some of these, and each one of them includes some amount of muscle wasting and has its own terrible consequences. And they are rare enough that there is only one FDA-approved medication to try to address them. In my case, it was not successful at halting the progression of the disease. The med is called Acthar. It is a derivative of pig pituitary, and it is a gel that you inject subcutaneously. And at the time, it was $30,000 a vial, and I was injecting 2 vials a week. It's just bananas to think about, like 2 cars a week of medicine going into my body. The other way that doctors primarily rheumatologists, sometimes dermatologists get involved because of dermatomyositis and the skin presentations. Try to halt the progression of these diseases is with high-dose prednisone. So that is the other fun way that they work to stop these diseases. And if you or someone you love has been touched by one of these diseases, I'm sorry. And you are not without resources. There are two really fantastic sites here in the US that you can access. One is called Myositis.org, and the other is understandingmyositis.org. And they both have forums and education and conferences and patient access and all kinds of great ways to be connected, be involved, both for patients and caregivers, and all kinds of information about aids and tips and home care and ways to figure out. So, Myositis Awareness Month, here it is. And thank you for joining me here to learn a little bit more about it. If you have not subscribed, please do. Hit the little bell button if you want to know when I've dropped the latest video. If you are listening to this on podcast, please subscribe wherever you are listening and rate the podcast if you would, please. I need more ratings for people to know that I exist. And living life with chronic illnesses and or chronic pain is a rough go. And so thank you for finding me here, and I hope that you are finding ways to tend to your spirit, because that is what this gig is about, is making the journey more livable and finding ways spirits well. So till we're together again, thank you and be well.